Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do another example. This time I'm going to start with the set builder notation, and we'll go from there to talk about interval notation and how we would do it graphically. Let's go with our x such that x is less than or equal to -2. All right, in this case, our interval notation is going to be this. This is our upper bound. Okay, this is as high as we can go. Everything else is less than that. We do include it. So I know this is going to be my upper bound, right? So I'm going to put my square bracket because I do include it. I'm going to have a 2, right? And that -2 there. Now, what's my lower bound going to be? Well, if you think about it on the number line, right, we can draw this out. Here's my number line. Here's my -2. I'm going to include that 2, and I'm going to do everything less than that, right? Everything less than that value. So that means I'm going to have a -infinity in a paren. So it's an opening paren, -infinity, comma, -2, and then a square bracket. All right, and this is one of the two ways that you could do it. Here's another, graphically, here's another of the ways you could do it. You could do a square bracket, and again, that's going to be my -2, and then everything going this way. Either one of those. As I say, this is normally used more with set builder notation. Either of these graphically should be acceptable. You should be able to read either one. All right, I'm going to do, let's do one where we have the graph, but we don't know our set builder notation. And actually, let me go like this. So we know that there's a separation here. So I'm going to have, let's go with this. All right, so in this case, I have, this is my graph, and I'm being asked to find the set notation and interval notation for this. Well, this is pretty straightforward if you stop and read it, right? We're saying our lower bound is -3, right? We're going to have a -3, and then we're going to have something with our 4. Now we need to figure out, do we have our parentheses or our brackets? In this case, it's already written for us. So here's our interval notation, right? And in this case, I could have had an open dot and a solid dot if I wanted to do it that way. So these would have been equivalent, right? These are equivalent to each other. Here I have my x, or whatever variable, such that -3 is strictly less than my x, which is less than or equal to 4. And hopefully these are becoming a little easier as we go along. I'll probably try and do one more round with these and see where we get to. Okay, I've set up another interval notation one, and I am going to go ahead and label this here. I'm going to have this be my 3.75 on my number lines, and I need to determine how I need to represent this. Well, first of all, I know I'm going to be going towards positive infinity, so this is this way, right? So here I'm saying everything this way, right? Now the question becomes, do we use a square bracket or do we use a parentheses? Well, in this case, we're going to use a square bracket. And in this case, we would use our solid dot, right? Because that's telling us that we are including that value. So this is how we would write it graphically. If we were writing it so that we have our set builder notation, here's my x such that x is greater than or equal to 3.5 or 3.75, sorry. 75. There we go. So this tells us exactly the same thing. Now, if you wrote it 3.75 is going to be less than or equal to x, that's not, I mean, technically it's mathematically correct. Again, this is one of those cases where you would wind up having a really weird math accent, okay? Here I'm going to go ahead and do an interval notation, or a set builder notation, and I'm going to have x such that x is strictly less than -3, and x is greater than or equal to 4. So here, this is going to be a little more challenging because it's clear I have something in two parts, right? Here's my first line, here's my second line. So I've got two things going on. I've got my -3 in this case, and then I have a +4. All right, so then I have on this, I have to think about what's going on. First of all, I'm saying I have it's strictly less than 3. So that means I'm going to have a paren here, or an open dot, right? I'm going to have an open dot. And I'm saying everything is less than this, okay? So this direction, and here I'm saying I have greater than or equal to. So I'm going to include that 4, remember, because we have that equals. Here I'm going to have a solid dot or a square bracket, and I'm going to go this direction, right? And so I'm going to wind up with two parts on my interval notation here. They're two separate things. I can go ahead and say -infinity to -3, and both of those are going to have parens. And, right, these both have to happen. And I'm going to have my square bracket of 4 to +infinity, or just plain infinity. There we go. And I think I'm going to stop off at this point. That hopefully will give us a good solid start on how to do things.